Hey VC, hope everyone's having a nice Sunday night, and just thought I would do a video of some recent pickups. I picked up actually five records of late, four LPs and one CD, and I just thought I would talk about them. Two of them I'm going to save for another video down the road, which was the case last week too with another couple of things that I got, and that's going to be do that in a couple of 2 or 3 months from now, and you'll see what I mean. Um, but I got a couple of vinyl records, and I'll save the CD for last and start with them. The first one is something that I'd seen on the VC and music message board that I go to of late, quite a bit posted. Came out, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, and kind of bought this just flying blind because I saw it so often and I thought the cover was pretty cool. So here we go. Steven Wilson, the Raven that refused to sing, double vinyl. I guess that's the Raven there. Back just has the track listing. Has the inner sleeves. Same with the other record. That's like a lake scene or something there, I guess. And I don't know if that's Steven Wilson. I don't really know what he looks like, or it's just some picture, some guy. Labels are kind of cool too. The same kind of artwork that you get with the moon on the front of the album cover. That's some guy drinking a cup of coffee or something. Some odd-looking little girl there, and the other one is. There's the Raven again that doesn't want to sing, and there's I don't know what that is, some guy laying down on the ground or something. So yeah, I didn't. Porcupine Tree is who this guy, the band this guy has or had been in or whatever, and this is one of his solo albums. Don't know a whole lot about him. Like I said, I just bought this on the strength of having seen the album mentioned here and there. Cover's really cool. I like that. That's one of my favorite covers of recent years, I guess. I mean, that's I like that. Anyway, so it's kind of what, prog rock or jazzy in certain places, kind of fusion jazz, prog rock, something like that. Which neither one of those are usually my cup of tea. Um, I'm kind of a rock and roll soul kid, and so I like my songs to be 2, 3, 4 minutes long. There's exceptions, of course. This is a little out of my comfort zone, but just because I'm not a huge prog fan doesn't mean that. And there, you can see these guys' faces here. I don't know if those are people in the band or whatever. Because I'm not a prog fan doesn't mean that I don't enjoy it sparingly from time to time. Van de Graaff Generator, that's prog, I guess. I like them. Not a big fan of things like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Yes. Uh, but anyway, this on the strength of having played half of it, I played the first album, uh, first and second side. Uh, Played it 3 or 4 times now. I rather enjoy this. I really like this. Is pretty good stuff, and I haven't got to the second disc yet. We'll do that maybe later tonight, but soon. And yeah, I like this one. It's yeah, pretty good stuff, and I think I will enjoy it. It's going to be kind of a when I'm in the mood for it type thing instead of an all the time deal, I think. But I'm enjoying it, and the other thing I like about this album is that the last, I don't know, forever years, because I'd said on one of the earlier videos that I kind of don't like much music of the last 25, 30 years. I do like some, but I don't like a lot of it. Just kind of, I can get into that later. I don't want to get into that in depth right now. But it just not. I like the stuff the 50s up to about 80, mid 80s, you know. But so when back in the good old days, you'd think of the top 10 albums of the year, and I would have to pick and choose because there'd be so many to choose from, and you're like, well, I left this one out or whatever. The last, I don't know how many years, couple of decades or whatever, when you see those top 10 album lists, most of them, I don't even know what they are, and the few that I've heard I didn't really like. And when I'm thinking about my favorite albums of a given year, um, I usually only come up with one or two. So this year, this in addition to some other things, has actually been a pretty good year for music. In that I don't know that there's been 10 albums. Once we get to the end of the year, I'll kind of look around and see. But there's 5 or 6 albums that came out this year that I really like. So it's been a good year for that. So at the end of the year, I can maybe even do a little list of my favorite albums of the year and not just hold up one or two records. So that Raven That Refused to Sing is good stuff especially if you like prog rock stuff, 70s type prog rock. It's new, but I mean, it sounds like that stuff. And maybe even if you don't, because like I said, I'm not a huge fan of that stuff, but I'm enjoying this and the half that I've heard. Um, the second thing I hadn't had this, been for forever since I had this on vinyl, and I don't even have it on CD, but um, this doesn't really need an introduction. Y'all know this one. This is a new pressing on, I think, 180 gram vinyl, and I will, thing doesn't want to come out of the sleeve. I don't know what. Alrighty. Nice, thick, clear vinyl, and the label is really cool because it's the little Rolling Stones on top of the cake. Same thing on the back. Uh, Probably can't really see that, but it's pretty nice and thick. Sounds great. Um, Kind of would have been cool if they would have done that record label that's on the cover, but this one works just as well, maybe better, I think. Played this a couple of times because, like I said, I haven't had this in years. Sounds great. This is, of course, their 1969 album, and last album that Brian Jones had a hand in. He died in July of '69. This album came out in December of '69. The recording of it stretched from November of '68 to November of '69, so it took a year in the making. Um, so I'm thinking Brian Jones is on Midnight Rambler. He plays percussion. I don't know what that means. Charlie Watts plays drums, but Jones plays percussion. And he's also on You Got the Silver. He plays auto harp. So I'm thinking that those two songs were probably early on in the recording sessions for this album before he left or got kicked out of the group or whatever happened there. Or they might have been early songs that were during the Beggar's Banquet sessions in '68, maybe. Then, of course, Mick Taylor took his place. So, I don't have much to say. Um, Everyone in the BC, I'm sure, knows this album pretty well inside and out. For me, with the Rolling Stones, if they would have broken up after this, would have suited me just fine. I'm kind of once Jones left the band, he didn't write the songs, he didn't sing, but he did add a lot of musical color that they lost after he was gone. But kind of was a messed up guy, but he's also kind of the soul of the band in some ways. And once he was gone, something was irretrievably lost, in my opinion. Which not to say that they didn't make some great music afterwards. None of it's as good, in my opinion, as the first album through this album, the 60s stuff. But, you know, Sticky Fingers, pretty good album. Um, Exile on Main Street is overrated, in my opinion, but I'm not say it's not a good album. It is. Just it has its moments. It never did much for me, even though it's considered one of their great ones. I don't really like anything else they did past that. Uh, for up until '78, Goat's Head Soup, Only Rock and Roll, and Black and Blue is I don't have much use for those. I do. Not really sure why, but once every 3 or 4 years, I'll pull out Black and Blue and kind of be in the mood to listen to that. It's not a very good album, but I'll play it a couple of times and I'll come to my senses and put it back up for another 3 or 4 years. Some Girls, pretty great album. Not anywhere near as good as their 60s stuff. Um, Emotional Rescues, not as good, but not bad. Tattoo You, a lot of older songs on that. I think some of the songs on that go back to the early 70s, and I'm sure some of them were written uh, at the time of the record. That's a really good album. The one that came out after that with Under Cover of the Night. It's funny because a buddy of mine, my favorite band is the Beatles and the Kinks. His favorite band is the Rolling Stones and the Kinks, and then the Beatles. So we kind of grew up together, and we'd have these little arguments about uh, music and whatnot. And he hated Under Cover of the Night. I thought it was a pretty cool song. It's kind of a goofy song, but I liked it. The rest of that album wasn't great. And but my point is, I mean, this '60s stuff is what I like on the Rolling Stones, and Some Girls and stuff like that is really great. But uh, I'm glad it's there. I wouldn't want it to not be there, I guess. But I mean, this is the essential stuff. So, and then the after that, I kind of lose interest in the Rolling Stones. The last album of theirs I bought was the one with Harlem Shuffle on it, the one where they're dressed up like, that uh, mid '80s Miami Vice look. What was that thing called? I don't remember what the album was called, but I don't have it anymore. I had it for years, but I think I played it 4 or 5 times and thought it was awful. And so anything past that, well, actually, I bought Big Bang Theory, or the Bigger Bang, that came out in 2005 because I got really good reviews, but it's save your money, I would say. Uh, so I did buy that, but in between that and the Miami Vice album, I didn't get any of those, even though I heard them and wasn't too impressed. This one, obviously, Gimme Shelter's great. Love in Vain, they do Robert Johnson song pretty well. Like the Robert Johnson version better, to tell you the truth. Country Honk is just there. Live With Me's pretty good. Let It Bleed's a great one. Midnight Rambler, it was never. You Got the Silver. I usually like it when Keith sings a song, but You Got the Silver's just okay. Monkey Man is pretty good, and of course You Can't Always Get What You Want is a great one. Of all their '60s albums, I'd give this one a 8 out of 10, but this would probably be my least favorite of their '60s output. But I do like it, and I'm glad to have it. Um, Last but not least, I got this on CD because this is part of a series of records, and I think it was available on vinyl at one time, but no longer is. And it's on Ace Records, ACE, which is I think it's a British label, and I've got some other things on Ace Records. I also, when I got the 13th Floor Elevators vinyl box set I showed on a video not too long ago, this little CD came in with it. That's Charlie Records, and I think Ace and Charlie are connected, but I'm not 100% on that. So Ace has done kind of like Bear Records. I think Bear Records is out of Germany. Ace is out of England, I think, and they do a lot of great soul and funk compilations and a lot of rockabilly, early rock and roll compilations, stuff like that. So, but yeah, this is mostly ghostly, more horror for Halloween, and I think there's 3 or 4 of these things, and it's Halloween songs, which is kind of interesting because you got a ton of Christmas songs, and when you get to Halloween, you've got the Monster Mash, what Bela Lugosi's Dead, and the Munsters theme. But this has 25 songs, none of which there's a radio promo for Monster Mash on there, but Glare on there, but none of the rest of these I'd heard, and it's fun. It's everything in here dates from say 57, 58 up to like 66 or 7, 1967 or so, and most of these are in the 59, 61, 62. The last song on here is I Want to Bite Your Hand, which is credited to Lennon and McCartney, which is I Want to Hold Your Hand, set to with a vampire singing because he wants to bite the girl's hand instead of hold it. But it's it's your typical, you know, late 50s, early 60s and Halloween stuff of teenage zombies and you got Rockin' Zombie, I Was a Teenage Creature, Sleepy Hollow, Dinner with Drac, The Cave, which actually that's a pretty cool song, The Hearse, Night of the Vampire, uh, Little Novelty Records, kind of some of these are just put together groups for the single of these singles when they came out. As I don't know that they were groups that were really around to make albums and so forth. But it's the goofy lyrics aside, which is kind of fun. But I mean, it's a lot of great. There's some suitably spooky music, but there's a lot of rockabilly, rock and roll, a lot of surf music. Uh, so just that kind of early garage, late '50s rock and roll sound. Fun stuff. It gets 25 songs. After a few songs, it gets a little bit too much. Uh, or a little goes a long way. But I was playing this. I got this in the mail Wednesday, I think it was, and so I was playing it in the car, going to and from work for a couple of days, and it was fun. I mean, eventually I got tired of it and had to take it out and put something else in because there's so much Halloween music you can take, and it's August 18th, so it's not really even the time of year to be playing this. But for a Halloween party or around Halloween, like I said, there's a couple of these. I think there's like 3 or 4 of these, so check it out. It's fun stuff. I was in the grocery store Friday after work, and they already had their Halloween stuff out. I was like, what the hell? So anyway, so there's 3 things, and hope you all have a good Sunday night, and we will talk to you next time. I've got at least one. Yeah, I got a couple of records coming, so I'll have that. One of them's a pretty cool box set. So we'll talk about that later, and have a good